Today I'm talking to John Knorr, CEO and founder of SIS Business Systems, about the Uglii system, and specifically today we're talking about how Uglii can help businesses, John, with a range of free services as opposed to other services which you can buy. So I'm assuming that's why we do have that signature description, every business for every country.
Yeah, Joe, that's right. The idea of Uglii is to provide free discoverability for every business in every country. Basically as a right, I suppose, is what we're saying, that we think that the world needs every business to be discoverable.
Yep.
So what we're really doing is providing discoverability through our spatial search processes as a right for every business that wants that discoverability. Now, clearly some businesses won't want that, and we accept that. If they're adequately discoverable or they don't need any more business, then that's fine. On the other hand, we think that most businesses in most countries need some more discoverability. Most businesses need more work, and that's what we're really providing. So what we're trying to do is create a standard so that we know that every business that's providing a service can be discovered. Now, we're in the position to do that because of our discoverability processes through spatial discovery or geographic discovery.
Right.
Means that our systems are very powerful at doing local search, and of course most businesses are really only interested in being discoverable locally where their clients are.
Sure.
Okay, so we cater very well for any business that wants local search, and we also cater for all other businesses as well, but we're very powerful in that local search area. So
Okay. So it's a privilege for business-to-business discovery.
Joe, it's that, but it's also for discovery by consumers and households as well.
And consumers can use the service for free.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So what we're really talking about is a number of services that Uglii is providing for every business that wants spatial discovery through the system. And we're saying that that's a right that every business on the planet should have, and every government department too, and charity, I suppose, as well. So
Right.
any organisation that's part of an economy, that's an important part of an economy, should have that discoverability as a right. Of course, there are other services that businesses and governments and charities and whatever can buy if they want to, if they feel that they need additional support or additional discoverability or additional marketing services, then they can buy those.
Right.
And one of course subsidises the other.
Right.
So, yeah,
Okay. So there are free services that
Yeah.
any business obviously has got
Yeah.
the ability to be discovered.
Yep.
Consumers can use it to discover
Yep.
businesses without any cost, but there are costs for businesses that want further added discoverability.
Other services from our system, yeah.
Okay.
The first service that we need to talk about is that ability of our system to provide what we call an Uglii dot on the mapping system so that business can be discovered. And that allows a business to locate itself on the mapping system, quite accurately on the mapping system.
Right.
And it also allows the business to add in keywords for discoverability, and as well Uglii brand codes as well for discoverability. So they're codes that relate to a vast taxonomy that the Uglii system has of products and services, generic codes.
Sure.
Now, the advantage of that, of course, is that it allows for search in different languages. So if I'm putting that in English, it may be of an advantage to me that I can have my business discovered in Spanish or Chinese or whatever it may be.
Right.
As well. So by using the codes, that's adding more power to the discoverability of that business's website.
Right.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is that third parties, such as brand owners, can what we call credential businesses in the system. So if I'm a business owner and I'm a reseller of a brand in the economy, then the brand owner can add their credential into the discovery settings of my business.
Right.
Now that's very powerful, and it's powerful for two reasons. One is it helps the brand get my shop or my store or whatever it is discovered. Okay, so
Yep.
it's helping the brand, but it's also helping me as a business owner get discoverability. It's also taking away the job of me having to enter all the brands that I sell
Right.
about my hardware store or something, whatever
Yes.
whatever business I've got. That's a pretty onerous sort of job to have to go through and remember all the brands that I sell, or have a list of all the brands that I sell. Okay, so our system has processes that allow third parties to add that information into the discovery settings of my Uglii dot in the system. So what we're doing is making it easier for businesses to get discovered, and get discovered by all of the ways that they should be discovered.
Sure.
Okay, so there's a tendency, if I'm a hardware store owner, to put in that I'm a hardware store owner, and that's about it, and forget, all of the details of the products or services that I'm providing through my hardware store.
Right.
Almost an impossible task if you think about it.
Yeah.
For a hardware store owner to list all the brands and all the products and services he sells.
Sure.
But with this process, third parties can add that information in automatically to all of the hardware stores across the economy that they provide their services or their products into.
And that third-party credentialing also, it helps substantiate that business to a degree, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Qualifying.
It's right, it's qualifying that business. So it's more important that you say something nice about me than me say something about nice about me.
So it's all good and well for you as a hardware store owner to say that you stock the full range of Makita power tools, for example, but you may not. But if Makita say that you do, then
that's much more credible.
Of course, okay.
There's also processes for payment processes, which are increasingly important as economies become more sophisticated. So in the Australian economy, which is a very advanced economy, then I may want to do my shopping, buy the product or service that I want, but I want to use a certain process, a certain credit card, for example. That's important or a certain loyalty scheme.
Right.
Or if I'm doing international trade, I might want to use a letter of credit as a means by which I purchase a product or service in another economy. So what that's doing is allowing a searcher to have more comfort about who they're dealing with, on whether it's locally or on the other side of the world.
Sure.
So that the process of purchasing can be gone through to its completion in a way that's satisfactory.
Right.
So what our system is doing is aggregating a whole lot of information about that business, which makes it more discoverable and more useful and more, and its discoverability more friendly to the people that want to do business with it.
Right.
So it's quite a paradigm shift, really, in what we're doing for free for all businesses on the planet.
Now, one of the other services, I believe, is requesting inputs for your business. Take us through an example of how that actually works for a business.
Okay. Joe, businesses have inputs. They have things that they purchase, products they purchase, services they purchase, and so on. What the Uglii what we call spatial marketplace systems do is allow businesses to come into the system and make a request for an offer for the product or service that they want.
Right.
It's a fairly simple process for them, because they can simply look up in our system the list of the products and services that are in the system, and there's about 700,000 of them at the moment.
Right. Yeah.
Or the brand of the product or service that they want, and simply by clicking on it, request offers for suppliers to supply that product or service.
Right.
So if they want a new printer for their office, then they're predisposed to a brand of printer, they can click on request for offer for that particular brand or that particular model of that brand of printer, and suppliers.
And that's free.
Yeah, and that service is free. Okay.
Right.
Now, on the other side of the ledger, of course, the suppliers that want to make an offer to that business pay a small fee for making that offer.
And it's quite a small fee, isn't it? I think in developed countries it's $1.
It's $1.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So it's very affordable for them.
Yes.
Okay, but the importance of it from a business making its purchasing is that it's going to get competitive offers for the product or service that it wants.
Right.
Now, as an experienced business person, I know that when you need something, and it's really often very hard to get competitive quotes for a product or service. Even though in your heart of hearts you know you should be doing it.
Yes,
but
you don't have the time.
You don't
it's
have the
too
time,
hard.
or if there's an urgency about it,
Yep.
those things just get overlooked.
Yep.
Well, this process doesn't allow you to have any excuses. It's easier to request an offer just by clicking on it and let the system make offers to you.
Rightio.
Okay, but you're also comforted by the fact that you're going to get competitive offers because the suppliers that are making offers know that they're in a very competitive environment. They've got to be fairly aggressive about getting your business.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
That request process is free. The request processes can also be qualified, once again, by the processes by which I, as a business, want to pay for the purchases that I'm making, the products or service inputs that I'm buying.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've got a preferred payment process, then I can flag that in the system, and only suppliers that are merchants of that payment process or are capable of handling that payment process will have their offers made to me. So it's pre-qualifying those processes.
Yep.
So it's a very, very powerful system. So from the buyer's point of view, from every business on the planet's point of view, that's important.
Yes, well, every business has inputs, don't they?
Every business has inputs.
Yep.
Every government department has, every charity has inputs.
Yep.
So what we're really doing is increasing the efficiency of the business in making its purchases, but probably also reducing the cost of those purchases because it's a guaranteed competitive environment all the time.
Right.
So they are very powerful reasons why every business that we can think of should be part of this system.
Absolutely.
Even if they don't want discoverability that much, they will use the system to get a reduction of those inputs that they're paying for.
So a consumer, can a consumer request for inputs as well? I know they're not business inputs, but say if I'm looking for a 50-inch flat screen Sony television within 10 kilometres of my home, can I?
Yeah, they can too. That's a free service to the consumer. It's not a free service to the business. What I was really trying to talk about here was the free services to every business.
Right.
And it's why businesses and governments and charities and all the organisations that are active in the economy, providing products or services in every economy, need to register in Uglii because there are benefits for them. It's really impossible to find an example of a business that won't benefit substantially by being in the Uglii system.
Sure.
Okay, so, and it's all free. Sure, they've got to register. Sure, they've got to go through a bit of a process to register, but once they're in there, those services are usable and free.
Now that process, that verifies them though, doesn't it? I mean, if they're not a ridgy-dig business, they won't be able to register, will they?
They won't get through the complete process.
Right, so at least businesses that are doing business through Uglii know that they're dealing with a business that's
legitimate
been
businesses,
verified.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why those registration processes that we put business through a little bit of a pain, it takes 10 or 15 minutes to go through that process of registering. But it's really ensuring that the businesses that are registered in the system are fair income businesses, to use an Australian term, are genuine businesses, and that everybody else in the global economy can be comfortable about dealing with them.
Sure, okay. Now, with these free services, you were talking about putting in keywords with getting your black Uglii dot on your mapping system. So businesses can list a list of products and services that
they provide.
They provide.
Yeah.
I go in as another business looking for that product or service and find them.
Yep.
And that's all free.
That's all free. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Now they should be fairly careful about keywords because keywords are what we'd call literal, they're searched literally, and business should be a little bit careful to ensure that even things like misspellings of words are put in there, and all of the possible ways that a person may look for their product or services that they provide. And it's also important to make sure that they've got all the products and services they provide as well. So the advantage of the other process that we're offering business, the ability to click on products and services they provide that are predefined, is that other people can look at the same list and click on them, and so there's less chance of them mis-searching or a business mislisting their product or services that they provide. So that system is much more powerful, and of course it has that ability to be searched in another language and still provide the right result for the searcher. So It's a very powerful system, and but particularly powerful for businesses that want discoverability from another language.
Right.
So some business in the tourism industry or business in export of any product or service, those sort of businesses get a huge advantage out of that keyword system.
Sure.
That Uglii process, because it's just that much more powerful.
Right. Now, how could I be assured of making sure that that information, when I am looking for a product or service or an input for my business, is up to date? I've noticed with other search engines, I'll go and look for something and then it turns out that business doesn't deal with that product anymore, or is there a way of making sure that all of the information's up to date?
Yeah, look, in the system, as in any other system, it's the responsibility of the business to keep their information up to date. And that's hard. That is hard, especially small business where they're busy and they, got that many other tasks that they've got to complete and look after.
Yep.
What the system does is it reminds them to check the veracity or the freshness of the information that they've got in the system. So there's a loop there. There's a reinforcement loop to make sure that business is keeping that information up to date. But there's also a sanction, which means that basically, if they don't keep that information up to date on, I think, a 6-monthly cycle at the moment, then they'll get degraded from a black ugly dot to a grey ugly dot, which basically means that information has got less veracity, because it's flagged as not being really as up to date as it could be. So there's an incentive there for businesses to keep their information up to date, but the system does remind them that it's important to keep their information up to date. What we find is when businesses go in and keep to update their information and just sort of sign off that it's up to date, they invariably add some more information about the discoverability. Yeah, a new service or product that they provide, or one that they forgot previously, and so on. So the process of visiting the system and going into their control panel, which they get when they register, is a really important process for businesses, to explore the free benefits that they can get from the Uglii system.
So can they edit their information at any time, or only when they get reminded?
No, any time.
Oh, okay.
24 hours a day they can go in there and update their information and make sure that it's right. And if they...
There's no charge for that?
No. The other thing we should also mention, Joe, is that a business that starts a new branch of itself can go in there and add another Uglii dot. Okay, and that's free. So the system is providing every business, no matter if it's only just a one place of business, with the ability to expand as the business expands and add new places of business.
Right.
Now, that's important for expanding businesses. It's also important for organisations like builders that have multiple projects on the go. The system allows them to locate the place of business on the mapping system, because that's a building project, is a place of business.
Sure.
And move that. If they've finished the project, they can simply click on the dot and move it to another site where they're just starting another project. So the system is really powerful, it's really flexible, and it's accommodating of the needs of businesses, right around the world, right through the economy.
Okay, so John, a business needs to find an affiliate to register?
Yep.
And they can do that via this website?
They can do that through this website. They can also do it by finding an affiliate themselves, or if they get approached by an affiliate, it's a smart move to make sure that they're in the system for all of those free benefits.
Okay, thanks very much, John.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you.